if you don't know who I am.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder marks a special occasion. The special occasion itself is the birthday of Alexander Pokryshkin. And why is this important? Well, first of all, what is always nice about War Thunder is it is always a place where you can learn about, historical stuff that has happened, whether it be due to World War II, whether it be due to just general Independence Day stuff when it comes to America, or just kind of historic events or national events. Generally, War Thunder is pretty good at covering it. And of course, since Gaijin is a Russian company, they're going to be a little bit more forward when it comes to the Russian stuff, and therefore it is nice to learn about maybe a culture or a history that at least I have never really been part of and have only seen from the outside. So the first thing is Alexander Pokryshkin is represented in the game under Pokryshkin's P-39N-0. This is a USSR premium, and it's going to be available for purchase from 11 GMT. It will be available until 11 GMT on the 21st of March. So you've pretty much got 2 days to pick this thing up, and to be honest, it is a bit of a steal, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So, Alexander Pokryshkin, the reason why he's often celebrated when it comes to the Russian side of World War II is because he was a fighter ace. He was able to shoot down many Bf-109s, many Ju-87s, and many Ju-88s. And the reason why he is shown as, in the game, he is honored under Pokryshkin's P-39N-0, because even though he flew a lot of Soviet aircraft, the place where he was able to really find his niche, the place where he was able to really hammer home the fact that he was this amazing pilot, was with this P-39. He was a master of the sky and was able to get so many victories in the air that it is kind of insane when it comes to it. As you can see, he flew 650 combat sorties through the war, and he achieved 59 individual and 6 shared kills. So that means that he individually killed 59 other aircraft, an insane rate from this lad. And on top of this, he was also instrumental in being able to tactically teach, other Soviet fighter pilots at the time. And one of the things that is not mentioned here, but I think will mention here, is there are two things that are missed out here, and I understand why, but I think it's important for the context. So the first one is Pokryshkin's first initial kill ever when it came to World War II was actually a friendly fire shot. It was against an Su-2, and he lined up on the back of it, took shots, and while it was going down, he was able to see the Soviet markings on the wings. Now, the story goes that after seeing this, because at the time, obviously, I'm pretty sure the machines that he was using did not have radios, he was able to pull in front of his fighter group and stop them from shooting down the other Su-2s in the area after following his lead. Now, whether that's true or not is up to history, but the main thing is his first confirmed kill was a team kill, which I kind of find a little bit funny, even though it is tragic when we have a look back to World War II. The other thing to also note about Pokryshkin is, just like the other lad that we had, the guy who was represented in the form of the P-47 when it comes to the American tree, he actually went against his command quite a lot of the times. There was a time where he was actually jailed, or I should say court-martialed, for his words. He was known to disagree with the high command and with their tactics when it came to how he saw them sacrificing Soviet fighters and Soviet pilots when it was unnecessary. And he spoke out against this, and what happened was he was sent to effectively military jail. Then words of his exploits got out, the fact that he was this fighter ace, the fact that he had a lot of public backing, and the fact that he was put in jail right now, and instead of sticking to their guns and keeping him where he was, because of the public backlash, they decided to release him and let him fight again, whether it was through desperation, whether it was to please the community, or whether it was because it was the right thing to do, who knows. knows? Or the wrong thing to do, who knows? But at the end of the day, Pokryshkin's story is incredibly interesting, just like a lot of the people who are represented when it comes to War Thunder. It is always worth having a look at them. It is always worth looking at their histories. There is normally either dedicated sites or at least a lot of information you can find out about individual aces when it comes to the war, and Pokryshkin is definitely one of them. Yes, you will have to go into some Russian sites and try and read up about him, but I think it's definitely worth it from this point of view. So go and have a look at who this man was and why he is so important to the history of what we see as modern-day Russia. Because he also had an impact after the war as well, which wasn't just due to his fighting capabilities. So let's have a look at Pokryshkin's P-39N-0. I've had this machine for an incredibly long time. Feels like years at this point. And you can pick it up, and I would like to thank BlackBerry for this information. You can pick it up for the paltry price of 1300 GE. Now, that is incredibly worth it, and I'm going to go through why in this video, and then I'm going to show you my stats on the vehicle to try and back up my point. The Pokryshkin's P-39N-0 is a rank 2 vehicle masquerading as a rank 3. As you can see, its BR of 3.0 puts it as the lowest BR vehicle at rank 3 for the Soviets. On top of this, there are vehicles at rank 2 which have higher BR than Pokryshkin's P-39N-0. This means that even though this thing is incredibly combat effective at 3.0, you can also use it for more daily tasks, you can also use it for more events, because most events go from either rank 3 to 7, or they go from, rank 2 to 7, so whatever happens, you'll be able to use this, and in it, even though you're at rank 3, you'll be facing a lot of vehicles which are rank 2, so therefore you will be missing those players who are trying to do the events, normally the guys who are a bit more invested in the game, and you will be able to still do really well. That's basically how I see it. So the P-39N-0, because of its rank 3, just from an event standpoint, is great, because it means it will always be useful in that regard. On top of this, because it's a rank 3, it's going to be much more useful to research stuff. As we all know, the way that research works for premiums is it is good at researching the rank higher than you, so rank 4 in this case, since this is a rank 3, and then every rank lower than you. This changes with the standard tech tree vehicles. So this premium here, Pokryshkin's, is good at researching from rank 4 all the way to rank 1, meaning that if you want a good grinder and you haven't really started or thought about the Soviet tech tree, this would be a good place to start. And it's also cheaper than the P63A5, which is a great machine, also the P47 as well. I would actually take Pokryshkin's over both of these just because of its 3.0 nature. So even though this has a rank 2 BR, it's good at researching rank 4 and below, meaning that you can get through a lot of the tree. Now, what is the difference between this and other P39s that you may have used? Well, it only has two 12.7mm M2 Brownings. A lot of them that you will find will have Brownings in the wings. Instead, this machine just has the two 12.7s in the nose, and then also the 37 in the middle. This means that it is more maneuverable, but it does have less firepower. You do have to rely a bit more on your 37mm, but I think overall this is a good thing, if I'm quite honest. I like the fact that you have to rely on the 37 because it means that you have to be a bit more accurate with it. When it comes to the belts, you only have Heavy T, so this is only going to be good against other aircraft. It's incredibly good at killing bombers. And then the 12.7s, I would say take stealth, just so the enemy doesn't know where you're coming from, and if you don't want to take stealth, take universal instead. Overall, the guns are easily capable enough at annihilating anything that you have in the air. Yes, if you struggle with aiming, this would be a great machine to learn how to aim and therefore do, really well in. Because of the fact that it doesn't have the extra machine guns in the wings, it is a hell of a lot more maneuverable than the other P-39s, and also one of the issues that the Soviets have at 3.0 is that they don't really have anything that can deal with high altitude stuff. So when you see a bunch of BF-109s around the place, you will have to just run away with stuff like the Yak-1B and the Yak-9s, unless you have Pokryshkins, which can take on anything at pretty much at any altitude and still do well. Yes, it's pretty much a mid-altitude fighter, but its energy retention is great. It has an insane dive speed on it, and one of the things that the Soviet vehicles around this BR struggle with is that dive speed. So overall, it just makes up a lot of the it just makes up for a lot of the issues that the Soviet aircraft have around its BR. It's kind of as simple as that. Yes, it's not that tanky. Yes, it does have some armor on it though, so this means that head-ons are something that you can do. Basically, the way I use this thing, it also has bulletproof glass behind it, so killing the pilot's going to be quite hard to do. But pretty much how I use this thing is I get into battle, use WEP to get up to about 3,000 to 4,000 meters, find myself a bomber, hit the bomber, and then once the rest of your Soviet team have engaged with the enemy, then you can come in, set up 2 versus 1s because you have great energy retention, you have great maneuverability at high speeds, and you can just pick off the Germans over and over and over and over again, and it works incredibly well with this machine. It is a wonderful machine at doing that, and that is the type of playstyle I really like doing. And on top of this, if you want Silver Lions, 720% SL if you have premium running as well. If you don't have premium, it's going to be a little bit lower than that, but 720% SL puts you in the same bracket as a lot of other machines. It might be the highest amount of SL of any vehicle. As you can see, a lot of them range from the 600s to the 700s, so Pokryshkin's is already under BR'd in my opinion, and it already is a higher rank than it should be, so those are 2 things going in its favor just from the get-go. On top of it, the crazy SL that you can make from this thing, and also the RP from getting those kills. And on top of this, on top of all of this, for your skin collectors, which I am personally one of them, it has a bunch of camouflages as well. So you can see I've added the stars and the Soviet flag here, the flag of victory. So, you know, disregard those 2 things, but here we go. Look, it has the standard camouflage that you can see here. This is the standard Pokryshkin's camouflage. Then you've got the GFAR16 one with a bit more red on it, which is lovely. Then you've got the 9th GIAP, which I'll have to download, and you can see it has the snake on it. Then you have the Silver 4, which is right here. The White 01, which is right here, and it's going to show the wonderful little thing. Then you've got the White Variation 2, because why the hell not? And then of course you have the White 16 right here. All of these can be unlocked from just playing the game, which for me is a wonderful thing, right? So you can see that you've got players defeated all along here. So all you have to do is play, and you'll get all of these skins. You don't have to GE them, you just have to play the vehicle. I think that is awesome, and how it should be with most vehicles. So there's so much going for this plane, and all it is 1300 GE. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less, but you're basically talking about what? So $8, $9, $10, $10 for an amazing grinder. For the majority of the Soviet tech tree, which will print you Silver Lions, which is great at the matchups it needs to be good against, such as the BF-109s. Overall, this is fantastic. And just to prove this point, service record time. So, air targets. Pokryshkin's, 176 kills, 50 deaths. So a 3-to-1 without even thinking. Victories, 73% over 101 battles. 2.82 million SL. I've used this for a very long time to do pretty much, if I'm struggling from finishing the ground forces challenges, I get into Pokryshkin's, I annihilate people. And yes, I'm alright in, you know, quite a lot of Soviet fighters, as you can see, 23 and 5, the Yak-1, 43 and 4, but the majority of the time I am positive in them, 53 and 12, but I'm not 3-to-1 over this area, as you can see with the MiG-9, 1.5-to-1. The I-225, you know, it's about 1-to-1, and then 1.5-to-1, 1.5-to-1, not 3-to-1 that you can see in this. So it is incredibly good. It's a really good aircraft, and it's a steal at 1300 GE. If I normally don't advocate for, you know, how to spend your money, and I'm technically not doing it here either, but if you're looking for one of the best deals that Gaijin has ever done, this would be it. It is amazing at what it does, and it should be treated like that as well. Pick it up if you can, If you don't like Soviet aircraft, this is the perfect aircraft for you, so you don't have to play all of the Soviet aircraft. If you need silver lines, this is your bag. If you want cool camouflages, this is your bag. If you want something that's going to be great in events, if you want something that's under-tiered, pick it up. It is astounding at what it does. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Blackie for the support on Patreon.